Hello, welcome to Season 11 of The Horrific Podcast. We're two friends who live in different places but share a love for scary movies. This season, in each episode, we will not both watch the same movie on our own and then record a conversation together about it later. We have 10 previous seasons of doing exactly that, and it's time for something new. This season, each episode will focus on a larger horror topic, trend, or maybe even rumor. We'll speculate about upcoming movies, debate genre definitions, and do our best to apply the perspective of two people who have watched way too many horror movies to different types of horror media. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Hey, quick announcement before we get started. We are a little bit behind currently because I am in the process of recovering from COVID. And so the last episode that we recorded actually went a little bit long, and to give us some time to catch up, but also give you something new every week, as is our habit, we're going to break our last recording into two parts. So what you hear this week will actually be part one of a longer conversation, and what you hear next week will be part two. And in a few minutes, you're going to hear me talk about all the stuff we're going to talk about today, but you're not going to hear all that today. You will hear all that over the next two releases. So just a quick heads up, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
We are recording the podcast on movies coming out soon.
Here we are again, another episode in season 11 where we are departing from our normal format and talking about topics sort of in the horror genre, but not necessarily just limited to movies or reviewing single movies like we did in the past. Mm-hmm. And this week we're doing something for the very first time, which is taking a look at horror movies that we think are interesting that are supposed to come out either in the near future or within a few months from now.
Yeah.
So we're kind of taking a run through the menu of horror for 2022.
Yeah, and when you sent the list to me, like of which ones, asking which ones we want to do, I was just super stoked. It's just exciting to see the list that's coming out, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think of the ones that we're going to talk about today, I mean, we've got, I don't know how many, but they kind of fell into three sections. So I figured we could go section by section. The first of which is just new stuff. So these are things that are not remakes. They're not another entry in a well-known franchise. They are just kind of a new thing, which is what's, I think, probably most exciting to both of us. Then there are a couple movies that are remakes of old Stephen King movies based on Stephen King books. And then there are some that are the opposite of the first category, which means they're in existing franchises or they're requels or sequels or remakes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We'll start with the ones that are, I guess, more in the new category as far as like a new concept or not part of a franchise.
Yes.
And the first one on the list was called Men, and that one will actually probably be out. I think it comes out at the end of this week, so by the time we post this episode, it will have already been out. But this is one that actually showed up on Sarah's radar.
What?
Right?
How? Oh, because that involved men probably doing something bad.
It's an A24 movie about men being horrific.
She's like, I know a couple assholes already like that.
Yeah, right. She's like, this is basically every song I listen to.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, were you able to find info about Men?
I was able to watch some trailers on it. That is accurate.
What'd you think?
Well, here's the deal. I've been watching a lot of very high profile court case that's going on right now between celebrities, so I'm answering this like I'm on trial.
Okay.
I do not recall. Sorry.
You're ready.
Yeah, I thought it looked interesting. It definitely looked, just basing off of the trailer, it definitely seemed a tad confusing. Mm-hmm. Like I had to watch it a couple times to kind of grasp the concept, I guess. I don't know. I have kind of a strange feeling about it. I mean, it is A24.
Yes.
Which I do have to say doesn't mean it's just going to be good. It means that it could be good. It could be really bad. Those are my A24. That's how I think of with A24.
Yeah.
I know that it was written and directed by Alex Garland. I know that for a fact. But the thing that kind of confused me based off the trailer was just like the whole forbidden fruit comment that was made, and like how the apples played into the situation that was going on. And I have like a feeling that like it's going to end with like a surprise, you're dead, or surprise, you're in an insane asylum. I don't know why I got that feeling. I just got it.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Probably wrong.
Yeah. So I guess on the whole, the movie it kind of has like an old timey England vibe. And I think from just watching the trailer and reading the Wikipedia page, the general premise is that a woman's husband killed himself, and now she's on like vacation in the country and dealing with it. And in the trailer, you see a lot of clips of her talking to like a priest who is almost like leading her towards blaming herself for her husband's death.
Yeah.
And then there's some like creepy, somewhat paranormal stuff happening as well. So I thought it was from the director of Ex Machina and Annihilation. And I feel like it had a really similar vibe to both of those, which I guess you could probably just call like the A24 vibe. But it's, you know, a little like undertoned and kind of creepy and almost just like uncomfortable a lot, but also like really visually cool. Like a lot of it seemed almost like brighter than real life colors, almost like a dream or something. Yeah. And so the whole thing kind of has a little bit of a, I thought like a similar vibe to Midsummer, which is another A24 movie. And then when I was looking at the Wikipedia page, it referred to this as folk horror, which would kind of fit into the same thing. But I didn't necessarily see anything in the trailer that I felt like supported that. So I'm not really sure what to expect from this one, other than I'm sure there will be some social commentary about men being terrible. But the trailer also makes it look intense and very like psychological, paranormal with good cinematography. Yeah,
I will say that I did notice just in the trailer alone when the main actress is asked if she wants to play hide and seek, and then the guy's wearing a mask and he takes it off. Like you can 1000% tell that was CGI. And I was like it was rough, and because it was made to look like another actor, kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, oh boy. But overall, like, it still looked really interesting. Now, granted, this is big, and I'm probably say this 1,000 times, but this is based off of trailers, which are made to get you to watch the film.
That's very true.
But it definitely, I will say, out of the first section, I don't think that this is my favorite that's coming out. But I'm not going to have any issues watching it. Like, I'll watch it 100%.
Yeah, for sure. It's one that I am very excited to see in the theater. We've been kind of dry on movies that I'm excited to like actually go out and see, and this is one. So yeah. So the next one we had on the list was called The Black Phone, and we've talked about this a bunch of times. This is probably the movie that I am second most excited about in 2022. It is a Blumhouse film, and the general premise is that there's a crazy child kidnapper in a town. And like the main character kid gets kidnapped, and then it's almost like the ghosts of previous victim children are helping him try to escape. And then there's like a subplot of a girl who knows, was like one of his friends at school, who's having like psychic dreams about the kidnapper and about him. And so it seems like super suspenseful, psychological. Like honestly, the trailer gave me anxiety. Like I was tense by the end of it.
Yep.
But it seemed like it also had some like tense action as well. So I don't think it's just going to be like a slow burn the whole time.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think like just the picture of the film. God, I can't even think of what it's called. The poster for it, and you see the guy with like the face mask on and just looks super creepy. That alone trips me out. Like,
yes.
100%.
They did, because we have talked about this so much, about like creating a really creepy, like visually striking villain, and how that's a thing that goes all the way back to like Nosferatu, and how like one of the lasting impacts of that movie was a very like simple but very memorable, creepy looking character that you could sort of just project all of your fear into. Yeah. And I feel like the guy with the mask and the top hat, and then like watching these trailers and seeing the acting that goes along with it is just so perfect for a horror movie. And you don't need a bunch of CGI. You don't need a bunch of like crazy makeup or special effects or anything. It's just the guy in the mask and the top hat and done, like nailed it.
Well, and the proof in that is like, this is just based off of the trailer again, but you know, it seems like a big section of that is going to be a kid in a room with the phone. You know, there's not I don't know what's going to go on while that's going on. However, like to make you feel that way, knowing what you're getting yourself into, if you just watch this trailer, you'll understand. It definitely super eerie vibes. I did read where it was talking about like the mask that's worn by the villain in this is based off of Lon Chaney's character in London After Midnight.
Okay.
Which definitely makes complete. If you see like the picture of that, you definitely understand. But also, what I want to say with the poster of it, like if you see that image and you get like a weird kind of eerie feeling, like if you haven't seen the trailer yet, that's how I felt watching the trailer of this. Like it was like you were kind of saying, like is it definitely eerie vibes. It looked like it was based like in the 70s. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 60s, I don't know, but no, 70s, but which I just like in general. I just like watching movies that are timepieces for some reason. But overall, man, it just looks super, super, intense.
Well, and I like too that it seems like, but it's kind of like a naturally compelling story because you want the kid to get out. But also, you know, like the whole premise of the movie is that a bunch of other kids didn't get out. So there's like that urgency around like, how long does he have? Can he really, you know, do this thing that they got closer and closer to, but nobody succeeded at? And then the whole thing with sort of the race against time as the friend is having like the psychic visions or whatever. There's a lot going on, but it feels like it will be a very urgent movie, which makes for good horror.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing, same situation, like not all Blumhouse films are great, and not all of them are bad, but just knowing that they're tied to the film, it's just like, I'm in, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a very, very well-made movie. I mean, just from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, though, I noticed on Wikipedia they had this classified as supernatural horror.
Yeah.
But from the trailer, it almost seemed like the supernatural forces were allies. It was the real life person that was the scary one.
That's a good point. Yeah. So it's not technically like the supernatural part of it's not coming at you. It's here to get you. Like, as far as we know,
there is supernatural and there is horror, but it's just not the way I think of supernatural horror. You know, in my mind, watching the trailer, I'd kind of categorized it more as being something like The Strangers,
right?
Where it's you've got this crazy person who's doing really terrible things.
Yeah.
One other thing I had on this one, it's going to be on Peacock 45 days after it premieres in theaters.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because a theme that we're going to see with most of these movies is like this simultaneous release thing. And it's kind of cool that the streaming companies are spending money on like high budget horror.
Yeah. Unless you're Netflix. Eat shit, Netflix. But really? I couldn't agree more.
Their stock price already did.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. I couldn't agree more though. I mean, especially like, I feel like if I lived in a bigger city that had like an actual decent movie theater, I'd be more apt to go out and watch them. Granted, you know, we have a 9-month-old kid, and so doing anything out and about is difficult. But I feel like I definitely go watch it at like maybe a nicer theater that people come and bring your popcorn to you kind of place.
Yeah.
However, being that that's not the case, I'm 100% going to wait, and then I'm going to watch this on Peacock.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can kind of control your own experience that way.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if I don't like it, I won't get kicked out of another movie theater.
Exactly.
That's why I can't go to the good one in town.
We can't all live next to like 6 Alamo Draft houses.
I said,
but my God, life's better when you do.
Layer that popcorn with butter or else your ass is going to get kicked. I kicked their ass. I told them, what do you want from me? You know?
You're like, I used to run this place.
Mm-hmm. I still good. Go push play on the DVD player. Come on. Sorry, I'm old and cranky, dude.
Yeah, the next one we had on the list was Nope. And we already have a whole episode about Nope and then a reaction episode about the trailer for Nope. Mm-hmm. So I was just curious if you had any additional comments on that one.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I wish I didn't, though. Alien confirmed, for the record. There's also a theory on what Nope stands for, which I don't think we got into on the first time.
Okay.
Not of planet Earth. Possibly. Who knows? That
nice.
might be.
I like that.
That might be denied already. You know, the way internet works.
Yeah.
However, it does seem pretty interesting. The other thing that they were talking about was, trying to figure out the tie with horses and aliens. There's a couple theories out that people think that aliens are using horse for skin, to camouflage themselves until they realize that if they just want to camouflage themselves with humans, they should use human skin. That's what they're thinking. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what the people are saying. I'm here for the people. Still so stoked to see it, though.
Yeah. I am very excited for this movie just because it's Jordan Peele, and also the trailer looks super creepy. Mm-hmm. But the only additional note I had is that I'm pretty sure the wiki page for this has more links in the references section than it does content in the rest of the page.
That's hilarious.
Like it says it says nothing. It's just like new Jordan Peele movie on this date, the trailer's out, and then here's like 35 references.
Yeah.
And it's just like, out of all that, this is all you could come up with, huh? But anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. That's hilarious though, because that's 100% true.
So yeah, moving right along. Mm-hmm. The last movie we had on the list for the kind of brand new horror movies of 2022 is called Don't Worry, Darling. And
don't worry, darling.
This one's a little different, and I wasn't sure how you would feel about it based on the trailer, but I wanted to include it because this is the first new movie I've seen in a while that to me almost had kind of like a classic sci-fi horror film to it, or a feel to it. And I think that we'll kind of get into that because it's set in the 50s. And the premise is around like a company town where all the husbands are working on this mysterious thing called the Victory Project. And one of the wives starts thinking that there must be something more going on and wants to either investigate it or get away from it. And that causes her to not fit in with the rest of the town. And it kind of has like some Truman Show type vibes. But there are a bunch of things where it seems like people are hitting like invisible force fields and stuff, or like rooms are collapsing and things. And so there's got to be some amount of like technology researchy type stuff going along with that. Mm-hmm. And being set in the 50s, it really kind of threw me back to movies like Them or some of those more, 50s sci-fi type movies, but made with like modern filming technology. So the colors are like beautiful and bright, and it's all like, I think you actually brought up the idea of like American exceptionalism in movies, where everything is almost like made to look better than real life, just to show like, here's what normal life looks like and here's how great everything is. But then to put kind of that horror, mystery, psychological horror aspect to it, I thought was a cool combination.
Yeah. Yeah. I had mixed feelings about this. Well, like one side of me thought like, if you have to add this many famous people to a film, is it that good? Or are they like the story? Do they want to be part of it kind of thing? Because there's like a ton of famous people in this.
Yeah.
Nick Kroll's in this, which I just thought was interesting too. I also wondered if this is what we're getting with like Jordan Peele films being successful. Like we've kind of had enough time since that people are realizing like, hey, there's no limit to what we do. We're not just a serious actor or comedian. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I think, I mean, like in my notes, one thing I do want to point out, this is directed by Olivia Wilde, which is cool. I think it's interesting to, not saying that she's new. This is like, I think her fourth film that she's directed, but I just think it's interesting to see kind of like a newer director coming up, or kind of changing what they want to do. I'm always for people following their dreams. But my notes say famous people, too many famous people directed by Olivia Wilde, probably going to be boring. So we'll see what it is. We'll see how it works. I think it's an interesting take. It kind of made me think of like the old mine the companies in the Appalachian Mountains that like they would pay them in whatever their company dollars are, so they had to use them. It kind of reminded me of something similar to that. Yeah. I guess you said the smart word for it. But we'll see. We'll see if now I will say like Olivia Wilde's character in this film definitely is super creepy too. She knows more than what she's putting out there. So I'm curious to see how it goes. Also wonder if it was going to be like a situation like in The Village, where they're all at the
end they find out they've been in the modern society the whole time.
Yeah, they've been in the modern. I mean, I just wondered. That's almost too close for home, but I just curious if that was the case. Like we're just basing this off the trailers, like we've said. So, we'll see. Of the list, like it's definitely not the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Well, I got some good news for you.
What's that?
It's going to be on HBO Max 45 days after it premieres in theaters.
Yeah, damn
which means
right.
You can watch it at no additional cost.
Hell yeah.
And with no driving.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right, so that's where we're going to cut it off for today. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, we will be back next week with the rest. And Bryce and I will be talking about some upcoming Stephen King based movies, as well as some new entries in some classic franchises. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week. And that's it for today's episode. If you've listened this far, then thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're always looking for new ideas, so if you have any questions, comments, or movie suggestions, please send us an email at thehorrificpod@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on or message our Facebook page. Just search for The Horrific Podcast. Thanks for listening.